we're going to talk about sideline positions for feeding infants. And there are 3 different positions that we can talk about. The first is the standard position, where we hold them in the crook of our mouth and the bottle goes straight in. Problem is the milk goes straight down the back of their throat. The second one is the same but a little modified. Let me put my arm back. Just rotate the baby away from you. I know you want the bottle that's on this side. So his cheek is down, his nose, nipple, and knees are all in alignment, and the bottle comes straight out from his mouth. Another way to do it is you set him on your lap, your elbow rests on the armrest, and you've got your hand supporting his head, neck, and shoulders, and the bottle comes out like this. This makes it a little easier to see how he's handling the feeding. You'll notice his hands are swaddled to his face so that he can bring his hands up and self-soothe, and it helps him with midline orientation. You can delay the diaper change in case you have a baby who likes to fall asleep in the middle. That way is a nice way to wake them up in the middle. So I'm going to try to get his hands down a little bit. And we'll put his little burp cloth. Are you going to help me? Okay, here we go, here we go. And you touch the nipple to their cheek until they turn towards it. Thank you. And you notice how frantic his head was going back and forth even though the nipple was in his mouth? When you have that scenario, you can always just tip the bottle down so the nipple touches the roof of his mouth, and that triggers the suck reflex. And that shows him where the bottle is, and he can start eating a little bit easier sometimes. Our substance-exposed infants often have what we call disorganized feeding. This little man does pause to self-pace himself, but sometimes they need help doing that. Okay. And see where he takes a break, and then he starts sucking again. It's okay to let him do that. We don't have to manipulate the bottle and spin it or tap on it or move it up and down. We can just let him do his own thing to his comfort level. You'll watch his chin and neck, and you can see him doing the suck, swallow, and then breathing pattern. And that's for good organized feeding. And we're just going to let him eat for a few minutes and watch him. You want to avoid taking the bottle out of his mouth if at all possible. Even if he starts gagging and choking, you can just move the nipple to his cheek, because every time you take the nipple out of his mouth, he has to start all over again to get organized. You can do chin support. If you have a baby who drools a lot, you just slide a finger under there and give a little bit of back pressure. You're not going to move your finger up and down to help squeeze milk into his mouth. You're just putting a little bit of pressure there. You can also do cheek support, though that's a little bit harder with the Dr. Brown bottles. I usually either do 2 hands, or I'll just do 1 finger on under his chin and 1 on his cheek. And that will give you the same effect. The main thing to remember in sideline position is their chin needs to be facing downward. What we're trying to achieve is the milk pooling in his cheek so he can control the flow rather than it going straight down the back of his throat. The nipple doesn't have to be full of milk, but it needs to be about half full so that he's getting milk, not air. And I'm going to demonstrate that tipping the nipple to see if he will start sucking. And so I tip it, and there he goes. Okay? And it's okay if he takes a couple of sucks of air. We're going to be burping him anyway. But when we talk about burping, you do not have to automatically burp a baby after every 15 or 30 milliliters. You can wait for them to show you that they need to burp, because remember what I said, every time you take the bottle out of his mouth, he has to start over again to get organized. He will show you by chewing on the nipple or pushing the nipple out of his mouth. And you'll find it's easier to burp them if you wait until they need to be burped. If you notice that your baby is gulping or having difficulty breathing, once again, you can just move that nipple to their cheek. They can continue to suck, but they're not going to get any milk. And then once they settle down or their breathing becomes more regular, you can just slide it right over, and then he can go right back to eating. This way, we're helping him pace himself. Okay. And he's squirming, but I'm keeping the nipple in his mouth. See? This little guy likes to poop his diaper while he's eating, so you'll notice he squirms all over the place, but I just keep the nipple right there so when he's ready he can go right back to eating. And he does a lot of self-pacing on his own, but if he takes longer, and I think he might be trying to go to sleep, I can do that where I tip the bottle. But he's doing it on his own right now. And as I said, if they get tired and they fall asleep, a diaper change is a good way to help wake them back up.